Ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Tam Luke. I'm very excited to be here. And we're going to be having a little bit of a conversation this morning that I think is very relevant. I've been alluding to it for the last couple of weeks, and today is the day. So, welcome. Hopefully, you have something to drink. You have some coffee, you have wine. I'm not sure what you do at this time of the day, but we're going to get into it. And today is my conversation about how I got to 100,000 and maintained it. No BS. And this is not a highlight reel, by the way. It's not meant for me to impress you. That's not this conversation. We are in the beginning of this year, and we really need to, get clarity on what we're working for and what is real and what is not. This is not about manifestation and anything like that. Although I do believe in manifestation, and I do believe I'm pretty good at manifesting what I want in my life. I've proved it over and over again. But this is not about that. This is about straight up math, fear, consistency, and systems. And all of those things are at play right now. We need to get clear. So, to get clarity for 2026, we first need to deal with some facts. And the biggest fact is business exists to make money. So, most of you in this community are entrepreneurs, or you're trying to get started to be an entrepreneur for a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to tell you the first clear reason why you want to is because this system ain't working for you. This system will never work for you. This system is working though. This system is working the way it was intended to work. And then system is absolutely not intended to help you to get rich or to get even comfortable. It's really not meant for that. And there's a lot of reasons for it. There's unfortunately it is showing itself to be working very well. So first of all, let's clarify. Money equals safety. Women know this. We know that if you have money, there's safety. If men have money, it equals safety. I don't care what you say. This is what that we're looking to talk about. Money does equal safety. Money also equals options. Money means that you can do what you need to do. It means that you can travel. It means that you can live where you want to live. It means you can put your kids in school to where the place you want to put them in. Money just because women need options. Women need to be able to do what they need to do because they have so many different seasons in their life. They're very clear, at least 4 or 5 of them. And women also have things to do for other people and with other people during those seasons. So they need options. And also, money does equal taking care of yourself and your family. So you have to have those things set aside. It's very important. There's just nothing you can say, oh, this is not important. Money is important. Okay, so if your business isn't making money, it's not a business. Okay, it's a hobby with stress. And I know that what that looks like. I've worked with people that have that situation, and it's not fun. Okay, so we're going to be breaking down $100,000, not because we're going to try to get you rich. That's not this conversation. I know we might have used to thought that when we were young, but that's not what $100,000 represents in this conversation. Because $100,000 is not luxury money in the US. Can I get an amen? We already know that is not the thing that will even hardly sustain you in some of these cities. Okay, it depends on where you live, what your standards are. Some people have higher standards than others, and that's okay. Is your savings goals, your personal story. A lot of you came from, less than that, and you're looking to strive to have a better life. Some of you come from more than that, and you're trying to maintain your lifestyle. And I chose the word that this number, $100,000, and not because it was such a big thing, but when I was in LA for 22, husband and I at the time, I made 60,000, I believe. My husband made 60,000. Together as a couple, we made 120, and we didn't have any little kids. We had a son that I was sharing custody with my ex-husband. So we, it was not the American, well, I guess it could have been the American dream, and we were living it, but that wasn't hardly enough to do anything extra. And you knew, and the thing is about when you have a business, you might make $100,000, but you can't keep it all. And even when you have a job, if you make $120,000 or whatever, you're not going to keep it all. You got to pay Uncle Sam, and you got to pay all these other things. So, I'm just going to use 100,000 because we know what that is. We know what 100,000 is. We need to have a number that we can commit to for the anchoring of this story. And an imperfect number, you understand, is definitely better than a perfect number that you never do anything about. Okay, so let's start with that. Most women, and this is I looked this up because the way we speak sometimes in the world when we're talking to our friends, our colleagues, we see online, we almost poo poo a conversation around money, around the $100,000. $100,000 is not enough. $100,000 not what I'm going for. I'm going for seven figures, honey. I'm going for 50,000 a month. I'm going for 80,000 a month, which I think is fabulous, right? However, most women don't make $100,000. Most women don't make six figures, especially not in business. Most people don't make six figures. Most people don't make 100,000. Okay. The average Black woman in business makes around 24,000. Okay. Let that land. Okay. And most people in the United States don't make that amount of money. Okay. Even as a couple. Okay. So the way a lot of women do this is they will supplement with, jobs and partners, side income, right? That's how they do it. There's no shame in this. But if six figures is your goal, this is not small thinking. Okay. Six figures isn't basic. Okay. It's a real stretch goal for a lot of people, a lot of women. Okay. Um, so this is how I started with my goal of $100,000. I sat back and I go, okay, 100,000 divided by 12 equals 83.33 a month. This is how I started with the math, so that I could bite size this goal down. Okay, 100,000 divided by 12 equals 83.33. So stop thinking yearly. I want you to think monthly and slow it down. Okay. Once I focused on 83.33, everything changed. I stopped chasing everything and started building toward one number. This, I will say, by far was the beginning of me hitting it, and it was when I truly got clear and real. Okay. So 100,000, 83.33 a month. How could I do that? Well, I could do that. I mean, in my job, I was making a certain amount of money and that number seemed real. So what was the first thing I did? A lot of you know that my very first book was this, A Woman's Side Hustle. I worked on that book, and a lot of you have books. There's a lot of things you can do with books. I love books, but that was what I started with. $83.33. I have my $20 book. Now, if we do some quick math, you will figure out that 83.33, I'm sorry, that if you divide that by $20 for a book, and I'm doing the quick math right now. If you take 83.33 and divide it by $20, I would need to spend or sell 417 books a month in order to hit 83.33. Okay. One thing about that is about books is it's great for visibility. It's great for driving people through your funnel. It's great for a lot of things, but it's terrible as a main driver. Okay, so if you have books and you're going to try to get to $100,000 with books, you have to sell 417 books a month. 83.33. You guys get this? So that's not going to be the main thing. Okay, it requires massive volume, massive. Okay, so we got clear. Then, and that was the first thing I did though. And I loved that I did that because that really did, and I can break this down, that really did get me to $100,000. That book was everything. Okay, next thing I was doing back then is I was doing weekly events. And these weekly events, they were women events. I would get 20 to 30 women every week. And I was charging $25 for this weekly event. Okay. So it was a great community builder. I still do events, great community builder. And you can use events absolutely to get to six figures, but it's not enough by itself. So let's do the math. 83.33 divided by 25, I would need to get 333 women at events every month at a $25 entry fee, which is not enough by itself. Okay, it's just not enough. And so it was great, but as you can see, I'm starting to stack. Okay, I did the book. Now I'm doing the events. So I can go to the event and sell the book, or, sell the book and when I go to events or whatever, create events. There's a lot of things you can do between the two, but you can see it still requires massive volume. Okay. The next thing I did was I started doing writing retreats. So I realized that these books were impressive and a lot of people were impressed by me doing that book. So I said, oh, and I put something on Facebook, literally. I said, I'm going to be doing a writing challenge. Who wants to join? And I got 20 people at the time that wanted to join my writing challenge, which ultimately ended up, I got people in my writing challenge, and then I got people to sign up for other things later. Okay, so writing, that was good. That gave me more leverage. I sold them into a writing retreat. Okay, and the writing retreat, I think at the time was like $497, I believe. And so what that gave me was more leverage, much more leverage. It gave me better alignment and it gave me stronger momentum. But let's do the math. 83.33. Okay, so 83.33 and divided by 500. So 83.33 divided by $500, which is better. All it needs is 17 people a month at that level. So that was great. Okay, 17 people. It's a stronger momentum. It was better aligned. But as you can see, I'm stacking. So we got the book at $20. We got the weekly events at $25. And then we have the writing retreats now at $497 or $500. Okay, it's getting better. Okay, so let's look at the last thing at the time. And this is at the time. And I had come to Thailand. Okay, I came to Thailand, loved Thailand. I was like, oh my God, I got to do something here. I need to get my girls to come to Thailand. And so I decided to do a retreat. Okay. So the retreat, let's just call, I had between, depending on what they were doing, it was $2,000, $3,000. I'm gonna use the number $2,000. So 8333 divided by $2,000. Okay. I only have to sell for a month. For a month for that. Oh wow. So fewer sales, bigger impact. And that really started to shift my confidence. Now, of course, you can see in each one of these stacks, except for the writing retreat, I don't get to keep all the money. There's expenses that are associated with all those because the writing retreat is my intellectual property. I was able to keep almost all of that, but as you know, that you have to account for expenses as well. But that's not what we're talking about here. The point is we're trying to get to 8333. So now we have is the book, we have the weekly events, we have the writing retreats, and now we have the Thailand retreat as well. And this was a huge shift, okay? A huge shift. Because if I need to get to that number, it's going to be a combination of all of them. And that was the beginning of a funnel when you start thinking about funnels, right? Using the events and the books to get people there, to sell them into the writing retreat, to get them to the Thailand retreat. The very first time I hit $6,000 by myself in my business was August 2018. I had a job, by the way, and that's a good strategy. Always have a job when you're doing something like that, if you can have. But August of 2018, no, was it August? I'm sorry, July of 2018. And then by September, I hit $9,000. Okay. The combination of those four things got me there. And I saw it happening. And I wrote up my resignation letter and handed it in September of 2018. So, I started off with that $6,000 in July. 2 months later, $9,000, quit my job. And then in 2019, I believe I hit, $117,000 in 2019. As far as I was concerned, though, once I hit 8333, I had gotten it. And all I need to do was just repeat it every month, repeat it every month. That doesn't actually happen in this case. I ended up struggling in January of that very first part of the year. But I got a coach that really helped me to figure out what I always talk about, which is consistency and how to create momentum. It makes it a lot easier. We're not going to talk about that right now. But consistency and momentum is really what's going to drive everything, because no one talks about this part. No one talks about it. Okay. I was in fear mode when I had already left my job in September 2018. Okay. And I could not believe it. $200 in January 2019. Nobody was buying enough books. They were not buying enough retreats. I was in fear, panic. And it reminded me of my parents. My parents were making good money. Sometimes the economy was up and they were making really good money. And sometimes the economy was down and they were not. And that was because their business was dependent on the people that wanted to buy windows and siding and doors. And, you get a $20,000 check for a job. You get another, check for another job, $10,000. They'll stack up, if you're doing those well and you're a good salesperson. But if people don't have the money and they're starting to fear and hold their money back, then you can have some changes unless you can figure out how to roll with that change in the marketplace. Okay, so you have to figure out how to create momentum and consistency, and how I was able to figure that out, because I knew I didn't know. I knew exactly what my parents knew, and what they had taught me how to do. So I hired a coach who did know. Okay. And I learned how to do that, learned how to do consistency, learned how to position myself, right, in order for me to make the money. And oh my goodness, by May of 2019, I made $22,000 that month. You couldn't tell me nothing. That was my most proud moment of my whole life because my parents, I remember my days would bring home $20,000 checks. And I was like, what? And so that was huge, huge. My parents were already passed by then. I didn't get a chance to show them that. But yeah, I did that May 20, 2019. And by the end of that year, I had hit six figures. Okay. So the whole point of this is you have to create momentum, right? You have to create momentum, yes, but you also have to put a system up under that momentum. Otherwise, it'll be temporary. Okay, because okay, so 2019 hit six figures. And guess what happened? And I was like, I'm on a roll now. I am on a roll. I'm going straight to seven figures. I am doing this thing. And guess what happened? May 2020, another disaster. So, January 2019, I hit $200, but March of 2020, COVID. And everything that I was doing, in person events, in person retreats, in person, all that in person stuff out the window. And I was in a freaking panic zone all over again. But I had learned a lot that year before how to position myself, look for, find a need. My dad used to say, find a need and fill it. Okay. And then I was able to flip and pivot and get to the next thing. Okay. So one of the things you want to know is that events are a great thing. We're going to go back to some things that could work for you. Okay. Events are great. Um, High ticket sales are great because that's what I started doing once I got into 2020 and above. High ticket sales, $10,000 sales, and things like that. Events are great. Coaching is great. Coaching people in retreats and coaching people in different ways. Excellent. High ticket sales, great. All of it requires energy. All of it requires you presence. All of that is great, but it'll grind you to the bone. Okay, it'll grind you to the bone because there's a tap on your, or I'm sorry, a cap on your energy. There's a cap on your time. There's a cap on your nervous system. There's a cap. Okay, so and if you stop, and this is the biggest thing I learned from my dad, and I was telling my group yesterday that this is my lifelong a journey to not only to master this, but to help others master this. If you stop, the money stops in that kind of grind that I just talked about. And that's not freedom. It's a job. Okay. It's what I call personal output mode. That's a job. You have now left your job to grind it out even more for yourself with more stress. So the real shift comes with 100,000. So I just gave you exactly how I did it. But now here's the second part of this conversation. How do you keep it? How do you sustain it? Okay. And that, my friends, is when I finally learned how to, create consistency around my business, monthly recurring income, MRR. That's when the shift happened. So you have to think about how you do that. If you're in sales, you are you have a wonderful skill, right? But now you have to start mastering something else because if it only is dependent on you and your energy and your mind and your time, then you're going to burn yourself to the ground. You're going to burn out. Okay. So monthly recurring revenue is money that shows up. You guys heard of this. Shows up whether you feel motivated or not. Okay. you have to think about this now because we're in a funny time in this country where you are going to need to be able to take care of yourself besides if someone can take care of you, besides if you can't find a job. Because right now we're very much dependent on if I can get a job, I can live. Besides if the government is going to pay you a wage or something. That should not be your goal and or dependence. Of course, if you get a job, excellent. If you are able to get a government assistance, okay. All those things, there's no judgment on that. But now you have to start thinking, how do I make sure that this happens for me no matter what? Okay. So here's some examples that you want to think about MRR. MRR, monthly recurring revenue, Netflix. So the Netflix company has that going on where you pay them a fee and they're able to make some money that way every month. It's a lot of people that have Netflix, so I imagine they make a lot of money. Your phone bill, okay, same thing. You pay your phone bill every month. That company gets your phone bill payment every month. They make a lot of money, I'm sure. I wonder if they're able to take vacations when they need to, if they're making that money no matter what. I would imagine so. Okay. Memberships, any kind of membership that you have, the gym memberships that you have, and there's a lot of those, right? A lot of those MRR type of businesses. Retainers, if you have a attorney that's on retainer or whatever, somebody's on retainer, those are other MRR type of businesses. Okay. So one time sales is fabulous. It equals a lot of adrenaline. But the MRR that we're talking about is going to give you the freedom that you seek. Okay. And then you start going into a whole different mode. Okay. From personal output to now being able to create a system that can output, okay, for you. Okay. Six figures is the door. Six figures. So get your mind wrapped around 8333. How can I create 8333? That's the first step. How can I create the system from what I'm doing? Okay. How can I turn that system into something that will do it for me once a month without me having to go get a new client and a new client and a new client and a new client, right? Figure out how you can create that for your own business. That's what elevator money is. That's what they're really trying to say when they say passive income. Six figures is the door. Okay. MRR is the house, systems is the foundation. So if your business disappeared tomorrow, think about this right now. If your business was to disappear tomorrow, would your income disappear with it? I'm going to tell you the truth. It will if you don't have it set up right. My dad was killing it. He got sick. They went bankrupt. And that never left me. I knew that that was, oh, wow, he was the business. So if he goes down, so does the business. And their whole life changed once he got sick. So make sure that you are thinking about your life, thinking about your business, thinking about what you want your lifestyle to look like, and I'm excited to see what you create. So I am going to look. Oh, I see. Yolanda said hi. Thank you so much, Yolanda, for joining. And anybody who wants to, put down a question in the chat, please do. If you want to, join our community, I really would love you to join our community. We have some great, deep conversations about this, about these about these very things, because it is my intention for you to create freedom, choices for yourself, your lifestyle. And $100,000 is not a little thing. It is not. It's a big thing. And I know that you can get your mind wrapped around that and at least accomplish that goal. this year in 2026. So thank you so much for joining us. And also get ready because I'm going to be promoting or sharing about a builder momentum challenge, builder momentum challenge for those of you that are in the place and the frame of mind to start actually building your momentum in your system. So thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon. Hey, Phyllis. So good to see you. And thank you so much for coming. Bye.